In this video, we got another episode of this series where I rate and improve your guys' teams. You guys will send me your teams on Twitter at xevantanak, and I'll give you guys my best suggestions to help improve your squad, and I'll also give you guys a rating 1 through 10. Could be a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, or a 10, whatever I do think about your squad. Also, guys, if you want to comment down your team below in the comment section, let me know what your team's looking like right now, and let me know how much MT you guys have, and I'll give you guys my best suggestions to help improve your squad and a rating out of 10. So looking at the first team here on the video is going to be coming in from Tyson. He's got about 400,000 MT, and overall looks to be a pretty good squad. For the rating out of 10, the bench is a little bit weaker than the starting lineup, so I'd say overall the squad is probably an 8 out of 10, maybe a 7.5, because you do have guys like Gordon Hayward, you know, Devin Booker, D Mitch. I mean, they're all very decent cards, but nobody exceptional on the lineup like a Tim Thomas, a Giannis, a Dr. J, like these top tier cards. But overall, like I said, going to be a very good squad. So with 400,000 MT, I think your starting lineup is really elite. I would look to get a guy like Thurl Bailey. He is going to be one of the best cards in the game for his price tag. Whether you want to run him at the backup 3, the backup 4, whether you want to start him over a guy like Worthy or start him over a guy like Rudy Gay for your team, I would probably play him at the backup power 4 position, or maybe start him over James Worthy and then have Worthy at the backup 4. Also for your center position, I definitely think you should be upgrading it to a Kareem. Kareem's dropped in price a lot with the Opal Shaq coming out, so I think if you get a guy like Kareem, you start him maybe over Kristaps and have Kristaps off the bench. I think that definitely helps your team overall, and then maybe look to get a better backup shooting guard over a guy like Devin Booker. I think George Gerving is going to be a really solid option for about 10,000 MT. And then if you wanted to upgrade your backup point guard, maybe get a guy like Lonzo Ball, but I do think D Mitch is still definitely fine, but overall a very good squad. Looking at the next team here coming in from Francisco, he's got 1.6 million MT, but he's selling the rest of collection since he wanted to get 950 cards for that centerpiece. He's willing to spend about 500,000 MT for any new player or players, and he's trying to build the best possible team to be good and unlimited. So looking at his squad here, he's got a very good team. I mean, that starting lineup is one of the best in my team, and then off the bench, he's got a very good bench as well. So for rating out of 10, I would probably give this squad either a 9 or a 9.5. It's very hard to get 10 out of 10, because in my opinion, that has to be the best team in the game to get a 10 out of 10. 9.5 is going to be very close to the best team, and then I think 9 is a good rating for this squad. Obviously going to be still super elite. I like your 1-2 at the starting lineup, Penny Hardaway, Kobe. I think you should definitely keep that, and mostly keep your starting lineup. I would say with 500,000 MT, the main points I would like to upgrade are going to be the backup 4 and the backup shooting guard spot. So I think for the backup 2, if you want to get a guy like Ricky Davis, I definitely think that's going to be a big upgrade over a guy like Clyde, unless you just like having Clyde because of his rim running ability. But overall, I do think Ricky Davis is going to be the better shooting guard. And then for the backup 3, if you wanted to get a guy like Carmelo Anthony, I think that's a massive upgrade over a guy like Pippen. And then for the backup 4, I like a guy like Diamond Thurl Bailey more than James Worthy. So your bench could be Russ, Ricky Davis, Carmelo, and Thurl Bailey, and then Kareem at the center spot. I definitely think that makes your bench a lot better, and overall would push this team up to a 9.5 out of 10. Next team here coming in from Dimwitty, he's got a very good squad and about 600,000 MT. I would say for rating out of 10, I would also give this a 9 out of 10. For me, really not the biggest fan of Rex Chapman. I think he's a great point guard, but not on the same level as guys like Russ, guys like, you know, Lonzo, LaMelo. I think those point guards are just going to be a decent amount better. So for me, that would be the position I would try to upgrade. But like I said, overall team 9 out of 10 for this squad. Really not too many suggestions. I mean, that starting lineup is one of the best in the game. I think you could consider that the best starting lineup if you wanted to. And then off the bench, like I said, I think Rex Chapman could be upgraded. Clyde Drexler, I think, could be upgraded to a guy like Ricky Davis. For the small forward spot, if you wanted to get a Carmelo, I think that could also be a pretty good option. So for me, I would just try to upgrade that backup 1 through 3. Getting a guy like, if you want to use Russ, I think Russ over Rex is definitely a good option. And then for the backup 2, because that saves you some MT, and then I would go Ricky Davis over Clyde Drexler, and then Carmelo Anthony over a guy like Worthy. I think that makes your squad a lot better. You get more offense on the bench, and you just get overall a better team. So for me, those would be my suggestions. Looking at the next team here coming in from Orlando, he's on current gen with about 350,000 MT. His level 40 awards are badged out with extra hops, and Giannis gets busy at center for me. So he says he likes Giannis at center, and he does have Booker and Scottie Pippen badged up. Overall, this team is probably the weakest team we looked at so far in the video, but definitely not a bad squad. I do like the Middleton and Giannis duo. Not really the biggest fan of Middleton, but I do think he's going to be pretty solid if he's paired with the Diamond Giannis. Overall, this squad, though, probably going to be a 7.5 out of 10. Jimmy Butler, I think, definitely has to be starting in this lineup over a guy like Devin Booker. And then at the power forward spot, I think Thurl Bailey definitely has to be on this team, and a guy like Rudy Gay. You can use those cards wherever you want. Rudy Gay, Diamond Rudy Gay, and Diamond Thurl Bailey, but they definitely have to be somewhere on this team. I like your point guards, Lonzo and Cade, both really tall and going to be overall very good point guards. Not really the biggest fan of your power forwards though, Jermaine O'Neal and Kevin McHale. So those would be the positions I would try to upgrade the most, with guys like Thurl Bailey, Rudy Gay at the small forward spot. So for me, those would be my suggestions for your squad. Also, if you wanted to get KP over Joel Embiid, I definitely think he's going to be an upgrade as well. Looking at the next squad here, coming in from Mumbo, he's got about 500,000 MT, and he's looking to get a better small forward. Once again, probably going to be a weaker team we've looked at so far. I would give this another probably, you got Jose Alvarado on this team. That card is one of the worst cards in the game in my opinion, so I would say this team's probably going to have to be a 7 out of 10. Lots to be upgraded here, so I'm just going to throw out some names that you should definitely be getting on your squad. Rudy Gay, Thurl Bailey, Diamond Giannis, Diamond Marbury. So Diamond Marbury plays the backup point guard spot. For shooting guard, I like Corey. I'm not really the biggest fan of Devin Booker though, so I would personally get George Gerving and play him over a guy like Booker. For small forward, a guy like Rudy Gay definitely needs to play on this lineup. For power forward, definitely get Thurl Bailey, and then for the backup forward, get a guy like Giannis. And then for your centers, I think Sabonis could be your backup big, but then you want Kristaps to be your starting center. So your starting lineup would be Russ, not Clyde Drexler, Russ, George Gerving. Small forward, probably go Rudy Gay. Power forward, go Thurl Bailey, and then starting center would be Kristaps. For me, I think that makes your team a lot better. So yeah, that would be my suggestion for your squad, but overall, not a bad squad. Looking at the next team here, coming in from Nader, KP has a ton of Hoff badges, and he's got 700,000 MT. Now this squad is honestly one of the best we've looked at so far in this video. Very good overall squad. I would probably give it that 9.5 out of 10. I think you're missing a Tim Thomas if you wanted to have the best team in the game. Not saying you need to have that card, but if you wanted to get Tim Thomas or try to save up for him, I think that could not be a bad idea. I think you're missing that one really star player. I know Dr. J is really elite. You got guys like Anthony Davis, but I think Tim Thomas could really push you over the edge and make you have one of the best squads. But honestly, no suggestions for this team. Maybe I like a guy like Kareem over Hakeem, but that really comes down to preference. I feel like for point guard, I would rather a guy like Gary Payton or Russ, but once again, that just comes down to preference. Or a guy like LaMelo, right? I think he could be really good for that starting lineup. I think you could maybe upgrade your small forward to a guy like Carmelo, play him over Jimmy Butler, because I do think he's a better small forward, but really not that many suggestions for the squad. I would say maybe Carmelo Anthony over a guy like Jimmy Butler. Looking at the next team here, coming in from Tobias, he has 500,000 MT, and overall a decent squad. I think for the rating out of 10, I'd probably give this an 8, maybe an 8.5, but probably an 8 out of 10. J.R. Smith, Derrick Rose, not really a good backcourt, because that's just going to give up so many points on the defensive end. Not a good defensive backcourt. So I think for me, the first thing I want to talk about is going to be that backcourt with 500,000 MT. Even if you want to go cheap, get a guy like Marbury and get a guy like George Gerving. They're both going to be better than Derrick Rose and J.R. Smith as well. So for me, and that already makes your backcourt a lot better. And then for the backup 3, 1000% get a guy like Rudy Gay, one of the best value cards in the game, and he's going to bring some more offense and defense off that bench. And then for the backup 4, get a guy like Thurl Bailey, or even if you don't want to get Rudy Gay, you can move OG to the backup 3 and then get Thurl Bailey for the backup 4. I'm telling you guys right now, Thurl Bailey, one of the best cards in the game, even for his price tag of around 50 to 60,000. Like, he is such a good power forward or small forward as well. And I think for your centers, I would definitely upgrade that starting center, getting a guy like Diamond Kristaps. He pairs really well with Diamond Giannis. That would be an amazing front court to have. But overall, a pretty decent team. If you were to make those suggestions, I would say the squad's probably an 8.5 out of 10. Last team here of the video, coming in from my man Yax. He's got 270,000 MT, and his squad is actually very decent. Your starting lineup is definitely very solid. I would consider switching Kristaps and Kareem, because I do think Giannis and KP play a lot better together than a guy like Giannis and Kareem, because you're going to lack a little bit shooting. They're going to lack a little bit of shooting in that front court. And then on this, I like Thurl Bailey and Kristaps, but I do think Thurl Bailey a better 3-point shooter than Giannis. He's got a better jump shot. So I think if you wanted to start Thurl Bailey over Giannis, that could be another way as well. But I would have Giannis and KP together, and then I'd have Thurl Bailey and Kareem. I think that just moving those cards around makes your lineup a little bit better. But other than that, really no necessary change, except for a guy like Carmelo Anthony. He's the only guy I can think of, except for a guy like maybe Grant Hill. So I'd say either get one of the two, Grant Hill or Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo would start over Paul George. He comes off the bench. Or you get a guy like Grant Hill. He plays over Clyde Drexler at the backup shooting guard spot. If you go with the second option and you go with Grant Hill over Clyde Drexler, then I would also recommend maybe looking to get a guy like Diamond Rudy Gay, because I think he could be better than Worthy at the small forward spot. But overall, like I said, gonna be a very good squad. For the rating, I'm not sure if I gave it one. I'd probably say an 8.5, maybe a 9 out of 10. But like I said, guys, earlier, let me know in the comment section down below what your guys' team's looking like right now. Let me know what your guys' team is, and let me know how much MT you guys have, and I'll give you guys my best suggestions and my rating 1 through 10. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.